Hello and welcome to the Hex Lands Mod Spotlight. There's two different types of world that we can create here. We've got the Hex Lands world type and the Biomes of Plenty Hex Lands. So let's have a look at them both. So here we have the regular Hex Lands. I've got Recurrent Complex installed, so you may see some additional features. You can see that we have an ocean biome here, and the village is actually going across the biome. Okay, so here we can see the regular world generation. You can see that we essentially have hexagons all next to each other, and within each hexagon is a biome. If a biome is larger than the size of the hexagon, it will split over to an adjacent hexagon. In that case, the border between the hexagons will be removed, as in the case with this plains here. So here we can see the Biomes of Plenty version. We can see the mesa is obviously very high, eucalyptus forest here. Because of the higher number of biomes in Biomes of Plenty, it's much more unlikely to see two biomes adjacent to each other. They're exactly the same, so there will almost always be a border between the two. To give you some tips about what to do, I'm going to give you some customization options. So in World Gen, you can see we've got biome height adjustment. How much biomes influence the final height of the hex? We're going to lower that number to 3. In the biome size, the size of biomes, lower value is larger biomes. We're going to make that lower value and we're going to make it 300 for a larger biome. Next, we're going to change the hex size from 36 to 60 to get a larger hex. Then we're going to change the sea level to 20. We're going to change the nether sea level to 25. And we're going to change the nether rim size to 1. And we're of course going to use the nether hex gen. So to clarify, the height adjustment should be 3, the biome size at 300, hex size at 60, and sea level at 20. And in the nether, we wanted to change the rim size to 1 and the sea level to 25. So if we take a look at what this actually results in, we can see that we get larger hexes and a smoother gradient between the hexes. So here we can very easily see the different pathways, and it gives them more. If we could even reduce the rim size here, as you'll see on the nether, and that would give an even smoother gradient. But this will at least outline the actual hexes themselves. But you can see it gives a nice, more sprawling look to the biome as opposed to this austere, very jagged edges. These ocean biomes here, as you can see, because of the low sea level, they are now land. You can see there's an ocean ravine over here. So here we can see the nether gen. You can see there's a little bit more height variation in some of the biomes. Having the lava a little bit lower does help, because if that was, you can imagine what that would be like at 31. It would block a lot of things off. We can clearly see the structure of these nether brick columns, and we have a spot on top as well, which also fits in quite nicely. And there's a lot of this two-tiered nether spawn as well. And you can see that structures such as nether fortresses will go over the border between the hexagons. So because we specified this low sea level of 20, what we also need to do afterwards is change the terrain baseline and the terrain height. So the baseline will be a lower figure than the height, because this is accounting for things that stick up from the terrain, right? So I've chosen 25 and 37. And you can see here we have a deep ocean biome. And you can see, if we look at the Y level here, we can see, as expected, it's at 20. So you can see this is a good way to decide where we might want to do this. So you can see that this is all between these two heights here, between 25 and 37, almost certainly. By reducing the size of the hex, but still keeping the rim fairly minimal, I changed the rim here to 1, because with a larger rim, it would be much more conspicuous. It would take up a large amount of the ground. But with a small rim, it actually looks okay. And we can easily see the ocean biomes here. So I changed the size of the rim to 1. And even though there are some sharp gradients, we could reduce that. But unfortunately, the reality is that each biome does have different heights. Some will have no height, like a plains, whereas a tiger or spruce will have a much higher issue. Extreme hills, mesa, they're going to just naturally have much higher levels. But the important thing with this is to show that we're actually much closer to the bottom of the world. So obviously, being at level 28 here, we could obviously make it lower. We could put it down to 10. We could have the sea being, a few levels above bedrock. For making mob spawners, this is actually going to be a very, very useful thing indeed. And again, just note that the recurrent complex structures will spawn between biomes. This is quite a nice example of that here. Anyway, that's about all I can think of to say about this mod, so goodbye.